Hey y'all, this is Stove here, and welcome back to another video. This time we are going to be going over the week 9 of the college playoff league. Oh, not college playoffs, college football league. And as you all know, I did say that there were going to be some upsets, not only during the college football league but also the NFL football league. So while I'm recording this, it is around 8 o'clock on Sunday, and in the evening time, of course, and seeing a lot of upsets, but we'll get to that after the Monday night game, hopefully. But anyway, going into this on Friday, we had North Texas versus Charlotte, and let me tell you, was not expecting Drew Mestemaker Mestemaker, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I could be wrong, but he threw for 608 passing yards. The guy, it was pretty much all passing, it seemed like, for North Texas. Very strong showing for North Texas for sure. California and Virginia Tech had a very good back and forth, even went into double overtime. Virginia Tech actually coming out on top at home. Boise State also, they also won against Nevada, so that's pretty good there. Honestly, I did think California was going to win this game here, but very close game nonetheless. Proud of both of these teams giving it their all. Boise State, like I said, took care of business at Nevada, and probably some of them are going to have a very nice time at the casinos. Well, probably not. But anyway, we get to Saturday's matchups, and Indiana, well, speaking of people or teams taking care of business, Indiana absolutely swamped the UCLA team like I thought they would. Just wish they could have scored a little bit more, showed that they were absolutely ready. But yeah, such a good college football team, and obviously they are showing why they're number 2 in the country, and there's really no question about it, until Indiana faces somebody better than most of the Big Ten teams, in my opinion, which will be in the college playoffs. As long as Indiana continues to win, they'll surely make it. But yeah, Texas A&M took care of LSU. LSU actually getting beat at home does not look good for LSU. Does not look good for Brian Kelly, the head coach, I believe, for the LSU Tigers. And we may actually see another head coach firing, whether it be by the end of LSU's season or probably the middle of this week. I don't know. If they were to make that decision, they'd probably fire him by now. Probably like a day or two after the game. But again, we'll see. Texas A&M, though, fired off on all cylinders. Alabama and South Carolina had a very close game. South Carolina at home, of course, was trying to stay in the right there with Alabama, but there really wasn't much of a... Well, they gave themselves plenty of chances. It just, again, didn't go well, and Alabama did exactly what they needed to do. Contain South Carolina's passing game and also get as much clock down. Alabama, the last few games, have been basically near close to perfect masters of chewing the clock down when they needed to. So that was really pretty much a good basis of what was going down in the fourth quarter there. Also, solid defense, of course. Oregon, speaking of solid defense, I mean, granted, Wisconsin lost, but we can obviously give them a hand for the incredible defense that both Oregon and Wisconsin put up. Again, Wisconsin lost, but you definitely, if you look back at the videos or the highlights, Wisconsin showed a lot of grit, a lot of effort on defense, keeping Oregon from scoring, from only scoring 21 points, which if Wisconsin's offense had maybe a few better players, or maybe just like a few people doing a few different things, you would probably have seen like a 20-21 type close effort, or maybe even like overtime, possibly. But again, Oregon did what they needed to do. Wasn't the best showing from them, and that's why I feel like them being ranked number 6 right now, they're the only team right now, in my opinion, in the top 10 that has shown in 2 different games that they're, I wouldn't say they're not supposed to be in the top 10, because I'm sure they play right now, and then by the time they go against like Indiana or Ohio State, if they play them later on this year, if they don't, but if they play somebody in the college playoffs, they get into the college playoffs, and all suddenly, they're destroying people. It would make sense if that was the case, but for right now, as the team that I'm looking at, they played very conservative, and I just don't think playing conservative, if you play against Texas A&M, Alabama, Indiana, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Miami, Vandy, I feel like a lot of those teams are going to make it either a lot closer, or they're just going to put on a lot more dominant performance whenever it comes to trying to win against Oregon. Right now, I just don't believe Oregon beats majority of these top 10 teams right now. Again, that's just my opinion. But speaking of top 10, Georgia Tech took care of business against Syracuse. Ole Miss beat Oklahoma in a very back and forth game. There was a little bit where I thought Ole Miss was going to just take it away, but Oklahoma was trying to still stay in the game in that fourth quarter, keeping the points going, trying to do as much as they possibly can to get back in where they needed to be. And all they needed was a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to be just tied with Ole Miss. But Ole Miss had already done so much already against Oklahoma during that game. It was kind of just Oklahoma patting on some stats and getting some points. But again, Ole Miss doing exactly what they needed to do to stay in the top 10. Miami, it was very concerning. The only thing I think about Miami and Stanford, it was only concerning when I saw Stanford scoring the first points, I believe. And then Miami not scoring a single time in the first quarter, I believe, and then proceeding to then start dominating throughout the rest of that game. They started doing a lot better. They started feeling a lot more confident about themselves and doing a lot more different things and feeling more fluid out there than they did not only against the Louisville Cardinals, I believe, but them in the first quarter. It just felt like they were still a part of that Louisville game, and some of them still had that gut-wrenching feeling from that other game that they probably came into this first quarter like not being themselves, because I feel like this Miami team can upset a lot of top 10 teams. I believe this Miami team could go a long way. It's just right now it doesn't necessarily look like that, just because they've shown their struggles. They've shown that they're a team full of humans now. So it's like, okay, Miami's not as dominant as we think they are, but still they were able to take care of Stanford. My only thing is, what other SEC teams, well, not SEC teams, ACC teams may come up against Miami and show that Miami is going to end up struggling the rest of these, like, 4 or 5 regular season games? I mean, that will definitely be the question. That's just me, though. I think you could probably answer that pretty easily if you were to have followed every single game up until now. Or you'd probably think, well, I don't know, we'll just have to see, because, with college football, it's always up in the air. Or with sports in general, it can always be up in the air. But anyway, going into Vandy, Missouri, both of these two teams, back and forth. There was really nothing that I wasn't surprised about, besides Missouri and Vandy's ability on defense to keep each other's offenses from scoring, or to keep each other's offenses from getting where they needed to be. Vandy has a great run game and can shoot on a dime with their quarterback that they got. However, Missouri has a solid run game too, but at the same time, their quarterback doesn't necessarily scramble too much. He's more of that pocket passer, but can get around a pocket and shoot it downfield when needed, and that's why they are the top 15 team in the league right now. But both these teams, I figured it was going to be pretty darn close. I don't think this was probably one of the only matchups that I talked about and never really gave a clear answer of who I thought was going to win. But I did think it was still going to be a very fantastic game. Both teams, again, did lose to Alabama in close games for the most part. Missouri and Vandy showed that, whichever one of us made the last mistake on defense, that team was going to end up losing. So, in which case, that's exactly what happened. So, I am actually pretty glad that Vandy was the one to win, and them being up in the top 10 is pretty incredible. I mean, when's the last time you saw Vandy or Vanderbilt in the top 10 whenever it came to football? BYU taking care of business against Iowa State. I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit closer, just because Iowa State wants to continue to contend for a conference championship in the Big 12, but BYU showed that they're just a lot more talented and can beat the brakes off of even a team at home. So again, very good. And for those who actually had BYU winning by more than 2.5 points, good on y'all. Clearly it was so. It wasn't. I don't even think it got that close, if I'm not mistaken. But Iowa State was definitely trying to keep the points there to possibly still maybe win. But again, it is what it is. Texas Tech obliterates Oklahoma State. No real surprise there. But what I had to find out later during the Saturday evening, I later found out that North Carolina and Virginia went into overtime, and I believe North Carolina was trying to go for 2 points. And okay, understandable, but you guys kick the ball in the uprights of the post and you go into double overtime. Then it comes down to you guys needing to score, you guys needing to pull out all the stops to then contain whatever Virginia does best and, win against Virginia. But it was very good seeing North Carolina share that much competitiveness, even with them already being down so much this season alone, that they almost win against Virginia, who is ranked in the top 25. Granted, North Carolina winning wouldn't put them anywhere close to the top 25. It would just push down Virginia back into the unranks. But anyway, Tennessee putting a lot of points up on Kentucky's defense. Kentucky even putting up some solid points against the Tennessee's defense. Granted, you look at Tennessee's defense and you look at their offense is going to help them win games. It's their defense that I think is still going to have trouble. Whether or not you guys believe that or not, I think their defense is going to be the only thing that's going to stop them from either making the college playoffs or making it big in the college playoffs, if they make it. South Florida versus Memphis. This was a solid, and I mean absolute solid matchup for both of these two teams. And the fact that you had the home team, Memphis, end up upsetting the 18th ranked college football team in the nation, South Florida, by 3 points is amazing. That's why I love seeing this stuff. It doesn't cease to amaze me. I mean, it doesn't cease to surprise me, but at the same time it did, because I thought South Florida was a different team. They were breaking out of a shell, a mold that they were molded into, just because they are part of a very low conference. They shouldn't be looked at as a team that is going to be going anywhere. Memphis was ranked last week. This will give Memphis another shot at being ranked 20 in the top 25 next week, I believe, and South Florida will either be unranked or they will be just about, probably, I would say 25th or 24th, depending on what else had happened. Given that as it may, Louisville did win against Boston College. Cincinnati did their due diligence at home as well against Baylor. Texas at Mississippi State. Going into overtime, both teams back and forth offensively looked good. The passing game for mostly the Mississippi State crew was amazing. Archie Manning did, however, continue to go back and forth, which was also amazing. And like I said, at first, I thought Mississippi State was going to give him struggles, which in that first half, you look back at that, they did. They gave him as much struggle as humanly possible for Archie Manning to deal with. Then, and only then, the second half, we saw a true battle between Mississippi State and Texas, something that we probably weren't expecting to see too much, but we knew it was going to happen because Mississippi State, regardless of what their record is, they're going to make it a close game against most of any of their in-conference teams. In-conference opponents. And then at the same time, Texas, with Archie Manning trying to grow into the quarterback that he needs to be to lead Texas into a very slim pickings chance of getting into the college playoffs this year, or even just a solid bowl game this year. That's exactly what you're going to need from Archie Manning to lead an offense like that, to win in tough situations like that, regardless of what the score says. As long as you know that you scored more than the other team, then that's all that matters, at least in college. But stats obviously speak wonders, so if you guys want to go over those stats with each other, you guys are more than welcome to. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff that was going on besides passing. I mean, both defenses giving up that many points was kind of not very good in my opinion, but what you gonna do? Anyway, Washington beating Illinois. You guys can look back on it and even comment on this video, but I'm pretty sure I did say Washington was going to win against Illinois. And a very solid group that they are to be able to beat ranked Illinois. I didn't necessarily think Illinois was worth being top in the top 10 for a little bit there, and now you're kind of maybe speaking my language when you get Illinois into like 17 or 20, but 23 seemed fair, and with Washington beating them, they will more than likely no longer be unranked. They will no longer be ranked, but Washington may be unranked in like the 23rd, maybe. Arizona State having been nearly dominated by Houston actually scoring quite a bit, and then Arizona trying to come back in that second half. It wasn't exactly the best showing for the Sun Devils. I honestly thought it would be, Sun Devils would win. Obviously, they would have some struggles on defense, but their defense would prevail, getting them at least 18 more points than what they have right now. And I think that would have been a solid case in my point of view. However, Houston's defense dominated even more than expected, and Arizona was just too late on trying to get the points that they needed to at least tie the game. But Michigan versus Michigan State, this is obviously not too surprising, but the fact that Michigan, as prestigious as they are, their defense and offense is a little lackluster this year, and it shows throughout this entire season. But still, allowing 20 points against Michigan State, well, having Michigan State, allowing them to have 20 points at all, it is kind of not pathetic, but definitely slightly embarrassing. Even though you guys are rivals of each other's state, it just wouldn't make any sense for Michigan to allow that many points. And by that many points, obviously 20 points can be a lot of points for certain teams. But again, I stand by my words of Michigan, that even if they were at Michigan State, you usually see Michigan absolute crush Michigan State. Obviously not all the time, because there'd be some times where Michigan State has been in the top 25 and actually has been a solid team before in football. But again, the Michigan team still not really showing anything too mind-blowing, but hopefully, again, we can look at their games in the last few, like 4 or 5 weeks, I believe, to understand where their process is by the end of this season to where their process is going to be by like the beginning of next season. Northwestern versus Nebraska, pretty back and forth game. I'm just glad that Nebraska was able to seal the deal at home. Rutgers even winning against Purdue by 3 points. Wake Forest in my opinion, upsetting SMU at Wake Forest by 1 point. Kansas State blowing out Kansas like I thought they would. Old Dominion having a solid game there. Another solid but low-scoring game with Kent State beating Bowling Green. So I thought Bowling Green was going to beat them, but apparently not. Still close game, though. Ohio University beating Eastern Michigan. Auburn and Arkansas back and forth. Arkansas, it kind of looked a little for Auburn there. But again, this time Auburn gets their first in-conference win. And of course, it is by 10 or less points, like I said it was going to be. So that is always a good thing. Not exactly to be right about that, but the fact that Arkansas and Auburn, where they're both at right now, they still want to have those wins, because every win right now for every single team is going to count. Unless Auburn loses the rest of their in-conference games, you might end up be losing quite a few recruits just because of your lackluster in-conference performance. And that happens quite a bit for any teams, really. Anyway, you got Akron beating Buffalo. Okay. UConn and Rice having a very good back-and-forth game. Went into double overtime, and Rice ended up beating UConn. That is actually pretty good for Rice to be able to beat UConn like that. Wasn't expecting it. I thought UConn was going to win with no problem there. New Mexico versus Utah State. Pretty solid showing for New Mexico. And speaking of good showings, actually I think this is a fantastic showing, because that is now 3 games in a row that I believe Iowa has won, especially showing very good status 3 games ago when they won 34-0, then winning against Penn State 25-24, and then now beating Minnesota 41-3. It looks like a very good showing, second half showing for Iowa, and I think they keep on doing this. They obviously wouldn't do anything for them going into college playoffs, wouldn't even be close in my opinion, but they do still have that chance of fighting for a solid bowl game, and I think that's exactly what they need and want to be able to get something out of this season, so by next season they can grab some people from the transfer portal, grab some people from the recruiting class that they thought that they weren't even close to getting maybe, and then at the same time they're going to be thinking to themselves, well, we did this in the second half, let's transfer the second half of this season over to the start of this new season. Now granted, I know every season is a new season, new team, okay, understandable, but you can always translate, or at least do your darndest to translate what you guys did last year, especially if you guys keep a lot of the players from this year to next year. That would be perfectly fine, and it would make a lot of sense. Make a good traditional mindset to always have for Iowa. And again, Iowa used to be, I think, a solid team, and then for like the last 5 to 6 years they've been really up, down, and all around, and haven't necessarily found too much of a solid quarterback for one, and they also haven't really found anything offensively besides their tight ends and a couple of defensive players that had made a spark in the NFL from time to time. Not to say that they also don't have offensive linemen being drafted from their school either, but which has happened too. But anyway, Washington State beating Toledo, no surprise there. Pittsburgh having a very good showing offensively, 423 passing yards. Beautiful showing for Pittsburgh against NC State. But both teams did score quite a bit, so very, very interesting for both offenses. San Diego State blows out Fresno State at home, at Fresno State's home. That's a little bit shocking in my opinion. Even though it's 23 points, still pretty shocking. The Navy beating Florida in Atlantic. Nice. And obviously you got some of these smaller games here. TCU having a close game versus West Virginia. Not necessarily too much back and forth, like a lot of points being scored, but definitely both teams defensively were able to make some solid plays and to keep teams from each other from scoring. TCU, though, coming out on top against Virginia at Virginia. Always good to see TCU. Always good to see TCU getting that solid win. And obviously Miami, Ohio, who Wayne player, maybe even a few Wayne players now. I don't know. I think I'm only right now. Maybe Miami, Ohio continues to keep winning, and then by that point they get put into a position where they can show against a better prestigious football school that they are, they do have the defense to back their stuff up. They do have the offense to punch the ball down your throat in any given moment, which is exactly what they need to show, or at least a lot of these colleges need to show right now, that they're not going to continue to get pushed around, or they're wanting to show even more dominance because they've been dominating most, if not all, of the year. So, again, pretty proud of Miami, Ohio. Small college school, but can be pretty dangerous whenever it comes to their team beating or playing against other teams in their conference. And obviously not really too many big games, but Wyoming beating Colorado State, and Utah obliterating Colorado University. So both Colorado teams being the away team at this past Saturday, and getting nearly shut out to being completely shut out. Yeah, very embarrassing, unfortunately, for that